The ship, right? So let us look at a few slides here as we look at this issue. Are we going to be saved by the ship, or are we going to be saved by obedience?
By
Okay?
obedience.
It said the church has turned back from following, the church had went back from following Christ, her leader, and is steadily retreating toward Egypt. You know, in Numbers chapter 13, when they distrust God and disobey God, they decided that we will not go because the people in the land is too big. We are no match for them. They wanted to make themselves captain to go back to Egypt because they say it is Moses that bring us here, and Moses trying to kill us. Okay? It said the church has turned back from following Christ, her leader, and is steadily retreating toward Egypt. What does it mean? What does that word mean, steadily? What does it mean to steadily retreat back toward Egypt?
Slowly.
Slowly, right? It's slow. It doesn't just mean slow, but it is something that you're bent on doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, toward Egypt. Yet few are alarmed or astonished at their want of spiritual power. Doubt and even disbelief of the testimonies of the Spirit of God is leavening our churches everywhere. Do we see doubt and disbelief in our churches? In the spirit of prophecy? I wish I have a slide. I have a slide where they make video. I can't remember which conference, but I know somewhere in the States where they make this video mocking the spirit of prophecy, right? Making fun of Sister White and our fundamental beliefs.
The church did that?
Yeah, it is a conference-sponsored video. Okay, making fun of the spirit of prophecy. Next time I will share it with you. I couldn't, I didn't get to put it together. It's a doubt and unbelief of the testimonies of the Spirit of God is leavening churches everywhere. Satan would have it thus. Ministers who preach self instead of Christ would have it thus. The testimonies are unread and unappreciated. God has spoken to you. Light has been shining from His word and from the testimonies, and both have been slighted and disregarded. The result is apparent in the lack of purity and devotion and earnest faith among us. Whenever you look at a Seventh-day Adventist, you see nothing but worldliness or lack of spiritual purity. You can check that person's life. They are not studying God's word, and they are not making it a practice to study the spirit of prophecy. You know, that's the difference between Adventists among us, those that are lukewarm or cold, are those that are not reading the spirit of prophecy. All right, but the idea is, as long as if you are an Adventist and you go to church every Sabbath, you are in the ship. That's the idea. It says, "To him that overcometh," and I love that in the Word of God. It's always God's promises are conditional. His promises are conditional. Okay, We love to point to different denominations and say that once they preach once saved, always saved, but we do it. We do it also. Once I'm an Adventist and I go to church every Sabbath and I pay my tithe, I'm in the ship. The ship is going to go through. All I have to do is fasten my seatbelt and it's going to go to the harbor. It says, "To him that overcometh, will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may enter and through the gates into the city. The solemn question should come home to every member of our churches. And that goes to each and every single one of us. That goes to me and that goes to you. Okay, that would be the question we should ask ourselves. How are we standing before God? As the professed followers of Jesus Christ, is our light shining forth to the world and clear, as the word steady again, steady rays? Have we, as a people solemnly dedicated to God, preserve our union with the source of all light? This is how you stay on the ship. When you have a connection with the captain, when you hold on, Jesus said that if you keep my commandments, if you keep my sayings rather, you are my disciple indeed. If you keep them, if you continue in them, that's the word. If you continue in them, then you are my disciple indeed. Not if you had an experience last year, last week, yesterday. That will not save you. It have to be a constant dying to self. Okay, this is how you stay in the ship. It says, are not the symptoms of decay and declension painfully visible in the midst of the Christian churches of today? That includes our church. Spiritual death has come upon the people that should be manifesting life and zeal, purity and consecration, by the most earnest devotion to the cause of truth. The facts concerning the real condition of the professed people of God speak more loudly than their profession. I want that to sink in. The facts concerning the real condition of the professed people of God speak more loudly than their profession. By the fruits you will know them. Alright? And make it evident that some power, I wonder what that power is. Some power has cut the cable that anchored them to the eternal rock, and that they are drifting away to sea without chart or compass. Some power have cut the cable. It's one of the scariest things that could happen to you is when you are asleep and you think you're awake. When you are lost and you think you're safe. When you've been disconnected but yet you think you still have a connection. And that's the dangerous thing about when you are deceived. You don't know you're deceived until somebody shake you up and wake you up, right? It says, Satan worked through these false teachers under a profession of regard for the truth. They conceal base purposes, for their hearts were corrupt. Now, this comment is there's a commentary on the book of Jude. Let's go to the book of Jude. Okay, let's go to the book of Jude. Let's go to the book of Jude. Notice what it says here. Verse 3, Jude says, Beloved, when I give all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. And this is what we need to be doing today. We need to contend for the faith. Because as I shared with you last week, the church, the conference churches is not the boat. The faith of Jesus is the boat. The doctrines, righteousness by faith, the sanctuary, the Sabbath, state of the dead. If you hold on to these principles, you hold on to those doctrines, this is what's going through, not apostasy. This is what we need to be fighting for. This is where our zeal should be, not to trying to save an organization. God is interested in souls. When Jerusalem was being destroyed in AD 70 for their rejection of the Messiah, for their unbelief, no Christian lose their lives. Every single one that were Christian, that were obedient to the signs, to the command that Christ gave, no one lose their life. But those who believe that we are, even up to the last minute, they were fighting because they believed that God was going to deliver them. They were zealous for the nation, as some are zealous right now for the denomination. Did their zeal help them? It doesn't matter your zeal. But we have to understand that God gave us principles, and God make a covenant, just like He made a covenant with the children of Israel. Okay? He said that I am the Lord thy God that take thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. That was the premises when He gave them the 10 Commandments. They must recognize them as God. But they wanted many times, they wanted to make themselves captains to go back to Egypt. And we just read in Testimonies Volume 5, page 217, that this church is steadily retreating toward Egypt. Yes, we had an experience with God, but God is not a respecter of persons. Every promise is conditional. Does that make sense? Okay? So, it says Satan worked through these false teachers under a profession of regard for the truth. They concealed base purposes, for their hearts were corrupt. Had they some disclaiming faith in Christ, they would have been rejected at once. But professing to believe in Him, they gained the confidence of some, and without shame or conscience perverted the truth to suit their own unsanctified hearts. And when they, let me not pass this. Under a profession of a regard for the truth, we think, as I was sharing with Brother Philip this morning, we think that everybody that call themselves a pastor, scholar, and who's teaching error, or they just sincere people who just, once we show them Christian love and we just live for Christ, they're gonna be converted. While we do have censored men who are sincerely believe but deceive, there are persons who are placed in our denominations, who are placed there deliberately to bring confusion. They are placed there deliberately to bring confusion. And we cannot play games with those. For the sake of those who are sincere. Many times Jesus approached the Pharisees, and there's nowhere in the gospel where it recorded that Jesus compromised with them, where Jesus pat them in the back because they were in high positions. You just say, just follow me, as He would say to others. Jesus rebuked them, and He would say things like, you are of your father, the devil. That's what He said to them. You are of the father. And how many of the Pharisees got converted at the preaching of the apostles when they received the latter rain. The book of Acts let us know many of them. Those sincere, when Jesus was rebuking those who are guilty, who are bent of having their way, he was doing it for the sincere ones around them. Because many of them, as we are told in John chapter 7, many of them believed, but they were afraid. And had Jesus compromised in any way with those Pharisees, then he would have risked losing those who were sincere and who just needed a little push. All right? It says, and when once these deluded souls had departed from the old landmarks of faith, they had let go their anchor and were tossed about like the waves of the sea. These lying prophets are described in the Word of God. Their deeds are recorded in the register of heaven. Their hearts and their deceptive wicked works were not understood by men, but the Lord saw them and read their hearts, and as an open book, and knew that their very thoughts and purposes were corrupt. Jude says, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not. He saved them from Egypt, but they didn't believe that they were going to the promised land. But because they didn't believe, they didn't make it. God doesn't do things arbitrarily. It is up to you and I whether we're going to make it to the kingdom or not. He's not a respecter of person. He's not going to twist your arm and drag you to the kingdom. His commandments are clear. We all have to make a choice for ourselves. It says, this will be the sure fate of all the characters described by Jude, who depart from God and lead others away from the truth. Although the Lord gave Israel the greatest evidence of his favor, and upon condition of obedience, the rich promise that they should be to him a peculiar people, a royal nation, yet because of their unbelief and disobedience, he could not fulfill the promise. Because of their transgressions, he removed his restraining power over their enemies and the ungodly nations around them, and did not protect them as he had done. So they turn away from God, and they make alliances with other nations. But when trouble and calamities come, those other nations could not help them. Okay? A lot of individuals, and individually also, we can look at it. We look at our past experiences, and we think that we're still a Christian today. We must die daily. And many in this denomination are look at our blessings from God in the past, how he stretched out his arm a second time and carved out to himself a people in 1844. And we look at these and we say, wow, I'm in the right church. You know, I'm in the right church. I can prove that this is God's movement. I can show it from the Baptists cannot do it. I can do it. Therefore, I put my confidence on that. Now, so they make an alliance. They turn away from their God. They make alliances with other nations, but they could not be saved by those nations. Are we making alliances with other nations or with other denominations? The World Council of Churches. The World Council of Churches was formally constituted in Amsterdam, Holland on August 23rd, 1498 rather. It is made up of various branches of organizations controlled by the World Council of Churches. So you have the World Council of Churches, and then you have some
That was 1948?
umbrella. 1948.
1940. You didn't say that.
I'm sorry.
You said 1498.
Okay,
1948. That's what I said, right?
No.
Oh, sorry. 1948. All right. It said the goal of the World Council of Churches is to unite all religions of the world, into one ecumenical package or a one world church. But in order to unite all the world's religions together, the different doctrines held must be set apart. Right? For I'm not sure what happened here, but it says must be set apart. By these religious groups must be waived, and a focusing on those beliefs held in common must be central. Okay, so whenever you see a church is setting aside its the doctrines that all right. So they say it right here.
Who wrote that?
I'm sorry.
Who wrote that?
This
World
was
Council of
taken.
Churches?
This was taken. No, this a particular statement was taken from someone that did the research and from their website. But this is what they say here. This is Time magazine. This is an issue of Time magazine that came out in 1942. That was. Hold on, let me see something here. Do I have this? Okay. I think this slide should come before this. But it says here, the statement they make here is, I can't see this properly, let me see if I can read it from here. The statement they say here is a world government strong, immediately limitation on national sovereignty, international control of all armies and navies. Now this is from them. This is what they say. Okay, they are stating their goals.
Right.
Okay, they said that a universal system. This is their goals. Universal system of money, worldwide freedom of immigration, progressive elimination of all tariff and quota restrictions on world trade, a democratically controlled international bank, a new order of economic life is both eminent and imperative through voluntary cooperation within the framework of democracy or through explosive political revolution. Okay, this is what they say, their own words, their goals.
Yeah.
Okay?
1942.
Now, this is very interesting. The World Council of Churches gave $85,000 to African nationalist terrorist group, the Patriot Front, who were waging guerrilla warfare in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe in 1978. These terrorists killed over 1,900 people, including 8 British missionaries and their 4 children in Rhodesia that year. In 1974, the World Council of Churches gave £6,355 British pounds to members of the terrorist organization ZANU in Africa, which are responsible for killing 87 Rhodesian civilians. Also in 1974, the World Council of Churches gave 50,000 British pounds to another Marxist guerrilla force. After the Rhodesian government fell to these terrorist groups, this statement was then given by their representatives at the World Council of Churches conference in Melbourne, Australia, where they say, our hard-won victory did not come only through our own determination. We were sustained and reinforced by the support, material, moral, and spiritual accorded to us by the World Council of Churches and its member churches. So these different churches that have membership in the World Council of Churches, their tithe money go toward funding terrorist groups.
That's
Okay.
terrible.
So now, wouldn't it be a terrible thing if you found out that your tithe money also was going toward terrorist organizations where people would be tortured and brutally murdered?
Yeah, that would be terrible.
I think it would be a terrible thing. So there's an individual that was a concerned Seventh-day Adventist, I guess. You know, they wanted to know. I guess they were getting words that maybe our tithe monies were going to. We were somehow in alliance with the World Council of Churches. Okay, I went to the website last night to find our name. It was not there, and I type in Seventh-day Adventist. They say the Seventh-day Adventist Church is not a member in the World Council of Churches. This is what they say in the website. But so back in 1960, somebody was doing the research. So they write, asking questions, right? And a letter came to them saying, here it says, the Seventh-day Adventist Church does not make any contribution to the National Council of Churches as such. We do not expect such contributions from the denomination that have not taken out for formal membership in the council. Okay? This is what they said. Remember now, this is remember the year 1960. Okay? This is coming from the National Council of Churches of Christ. So the person wanted some clarification whether we had money going to those organizations. So it says here, the Seventh-day Adventist Church does hold voting membership in several of our programs units, and in addition has non-voting or associate membership in other units. They also said that in 1959, the General Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church sent a total of $6,700 toward the support of these program units, to which it has one relationship or the other. Okay, this amount was divided as such. So first they said that we do not have membership and we do not have voting membership. However, the General Conference did donate.
Why would they donate?
This amount of money here to go toward the World Council of Churches. Okay? That is 1960. 1960. So this was the initial letter that the person received at the time. Again, inquiries were made, and this person at this time sent, I guess it's a different person, a different treasurer, okay, And the person says this, right? The Seventh-day Adventist Church is not a full membership of the division of the overseas ministry of the National Council of Churches. It is a related agency cooperating in various committees. So we do not have full membership, but we are a related agency.
We're on the books.
Okay? We are a related agency. It says, in the fiscal year of 1969, this body contributed, which is the General Conference, contributed $5,950 of its constituent mission, board, and agencies. So, again, we donated this amount of money. Again, more than any other entity, Rome understand who we are as a church. So they're working with us. They're working with the persons that they have in the inside. Okay? So, again, the question is asked again. This is from the General Conference. The question is asked again, and you're going to see a bold-faced lie. Okay? This is 1983. This letter was sent, 1983. Watch the lie. Here they said that we do not have membership, and we do not send money to the World Council of Churches, neither do we send money to the NCC. Okay, this is what they say here, right? And again, they repeat this in 1985 in the Adventist Review, where they say the Seventh-day Adventist Church does not pay 1 cent in support of it. The NCC, that's what they say, right? Then we see so far at least 2 contributions they made. Okay, now watch this. Now, this is what this letter says here, that they sent to, well, the treasurer at that time. Okay, send the report, and this is what he said. He said, they have just informed me that our contributions to the world and National Council of Churches last year total to the amount of $8,000. This is apparently what it has been running for the last few years. This is what it has been running. Okay?
What would the donation be for, like?
The donation, different, as we see
Doesn't
here.
explain the donation part, like, are they understanding? Maybe it's like if I give you a donation because you're putting up an outhouse. It's not telling us what the donation really
No,
is.
it's not a donation though. It's not a donation. This is almost obligated because they have voting voice in the council. They are pretty much a member. If you have not picked it up from what we have read so far.
But didn't it say donations?
They would phrase it like that.
Okay. I just
But
wondered.
every member are obligated to send money for the different causes of the council. So they're gonna phrase it as donation. Now, by the way, the Bible already tells us not to mingle with those organizations. The Spirit of Prophecy also tells us the same thing. Okay, so there is no excuse here. There's something else I wanted to read here. Okay, So I'm not gonna hurt my eyes trying to read that, okay? But what you will see here is that they also have we have persons that go and participate and be a part, like one and this year talk about one of our health expert went to make contribution to events and other programs that they were having. So we contribute different ways. Okay, so we would have members, just how we have this guy today, right? Who's going around. He is the religious liberty person at the General Conference there. And he is meeting with all the ecumenical at these all these ecumenical meetings that they are having. He's in all of them. Okay, and he is going places where no one before him had gone yet. Well, okay, you had B.B. Beach that went to the Vatican, so on and so forth. But this guy went to the headquarters of the Jesuit. Now you don't, as a Seventh-day Adventist, who, by the way, Rome already know what we're all about.
Yeah, they do.
You will not go inside the headquarters of the Jesuit and make it back out alive unless you are one of their brothers.
You have to agree.
It would not happen.
So who is it?
The fact that this guy, say that again?
Who is it?
Oh, this is Kanun Diop. He's the black guy right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the religious liberty representative there at the General Conference, and he's like I say, he's been in a lot of places. Okay, just shaking hand and kissing the Pope. All of it. We will not. We can two walk together, as Amos 3:3 say, unless they be agreed. Okay, and again, this is just this Seventh-day Adventist pastor here, who was the president at the country of Tahiti at that some time ago, but is still a pastor. He just get well. Let me read it. In June 29, 2020, Seventh-day Adventists in the country of French Polynesia joined Roman Catholics, Mormons, Protestant educators, and other prominent members of the nation to be included as knights in the Order of Tahiti. What is knight? What is a knight?
Well, it's the inner circle.
It's a society.
Society, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a society. What are we doing as the people of God when we have been warned not to join secret societies? Again, can two walk together unless they be agreed? Okay? So now, if you, I forget to, I'm supposed to put the chart there so you will see exactly where he ranked. This is the Grand Master. He's the president of Tahiti, and he is also the Grand Master of the order. So all these different religious figures came to him, and they were initiated or included to be a part of this order here. Not only that, we are taking part of the Pope's initiative, the Pope's agenda, Laudato Si, to save the planet, which we know will bring about the Sunday law. Okay? Which we know will definitely bring about the Sunday law. So, Adventist, Catholics, Evangelicals, and non-Christian religions unite to save the planet. You know, while we spend time, and if you look, it's a big initiative in the General Conference, this thing about Green Earth, what every denomination is doing, trying to save the planet. find ways to come about with initiatives to save the planet. And whose ideologies are these? Who says that we must implement certain things in order to save the planet? That's the Pope. So now we're taking orders from the Pope. Okay? So this is what by the way, 2 years ago, 2018 is the date here. 2018, your church make a decision to no more send your tithe monies to invest them in arms. So,
We were doing it before.
very good. Weapons of war are now off the